everyone. Okay, right, I've had a few requests to show how I made one of these paws. So that's what I'm gonna do today. The one I'm making today is bigger than this one. I'm making a, let me think, 30 by 80 centimeter. I can't remember the conversion just now, so I'll pop that in the description. But it's 12 by 32, I think, inches. I can't be entirely sure. But anyway, what I've done here is I actually have this canvas in a kiddie pool. It's pretty handy. You want to make sure it really does spin very freely. I constructed like, what can I call it, a contraption for my spinner, so that I have a handle to spin it from, because depending on the thickness of your paint, you may need to spin it quite fast. I've had a look earlier, made sure the canvas is level, because my floor is extremely uneven, so it can be a bit of a challenge. So yeah, here we go. I am just going to start putting the paints on. My base is a slightly cheaper brand, but you know, not craft paint. It's a Taylor's art creation. Oh, it's here. I'll show you. Hopefully you can see. Is that one titanium white? I just did a very sort of standard regular mix that I like to do. Is European Floetrol, little bit of Liquitex gloss pouring medium, and just some water. You can use American Floetrol, that's fine. Just make sure all your paints are about the same consistency. So just do a big puddle in the middle. That should be plenty. I'm going to leave a little bit so I can do my sides if I need to. Right, and just going to move it. Actually, I might spin it straight away. Spin it a little bit to spread the paint. Doesn't need to be spread an awful lot. I also don't want it to fall off the side just yet, because I need the paint to move a fair bit later. So I'm grabbing the spinner underneath rather than the canvas, because this is such a it's kind of unstable, because it's not a custom made spinner of this size. Right, there we go. And then I'm just gonna start putting on my paints. This is oxide black, pretty much mix the same as I did my excuse the dog making a racket in the background. Also, I'm gonna spread that just a little bit that way. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, oxide black, Amsterdam, and mixed with the same ingredients as the white, so the European Floetrol, Liquitex and water, and making sure they're the same consistency. In fact, I like to have the base paint just a smidgen thicker than the colors I'm layering on top. Right, and the reason I wanted to do this video is because quite a few of you asked for it. So you ask and you shall get. But also because the one I showed you, I was using Boom gel paints, and they're not easily accessible to everybody, I know. So I wanted to make one with, you know, with paints that anybody can get and mix themselves. So this is Amsterdam charcoal, the one I just poured on. And then, last but not least, I finally got my hands on some Vallejo or Vallejo pearl medium. So I mixed that, and that's going to need a quick remix. The pearl medium with Amsterdam titanium white, and again the rest of the ingredients are the same as the other paints here. So I just wanted to demonstrate that you don't need to have specialist paints necessarily to make this design. Okie doke. And some of that just there. That seems a little bit thicker than the others. Right, well, we'll just see what happens. Okay, and what I've done, you can't see it because it's off camera, but across from me, behind the kiddie pool, which is, by the way, the best large spinner sort of help thing I've had so far. This was, you know, a great idea, even if I say so myself. It saves a lot of mess and it's easy to fold away for our storage as well. So yeah, over there, behind the kiddie pool, I've got a big piece of cardboard because we're going to start making the paint fly now. So I like to call this technique a flick and spin, because you flick and then you spin. Not very, you know, I don't know, creative, I guess, but never mind. So I like to flick with my finger because you can really get some nice control. Your paint thickness will determine how fast and with how much force you need to flick. So because these are a lot, well, not a lot, but somewhat thinner than the ones I used in the other painting, I'm just going to be fairly careful with this to begin with and go to the side, so I can always mask it if it doesn't quite do what I want it to do. But that looks good. I can get away with, actually I want a little bit of black in the center there. I think the center's going to go too white otherwise, just a little bit. And I'm going to flick from that black spot there. Right, let's go again. I love this technique so much. Oh, look at that, how satisfying is that? And then you just go again until you're happy with it. I'm using these monochrome colors. They're very forgiving because they just don't, even if they mix, they will not make mud. And the cells are just amazing here. And look at the way you get that corkscrew effect. I love that. And if you want the paint to fly a little bit further, I'm not sure if you saw what I did just there, but see how I follow through with my finger when I flick? That helps. I love that there. So I'm just going to do one more going in that direction. I love how it overlapped that. Right, so now I'm going to just let it breathe for a bit. Let me breathe for a bit. No, just kidding. And give it a torch. See the paint still moving back on itself. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's closing in where I actually exposed the canvas when I flicked. So yeah, you might want to wait till all the gaps have closed. Then give it a torch. Get rid of the worst of the air bubbles. But see how you don't have to use any special ingredients. I got very, very good lacing and selling or cell effects even without the pearl medium, which has been known to be quite good for that. I'm sending a painting over to New Mexico in the next week or so once I've got it resined. And I didn't use any metallics. There's no, oh, again, excuse the dog going nuts. I think somebody's walking past our front door. He thinks he's a big scary guard dog. He's a medium poodle, but let's not tell him that. Anyway, what was I going on about? Yeah, there's no silicone, there's no additives, there's no Australian Floetrol, there's no fancy, expensive ingredients. It's just the paint densities. I forget the name of the theory now of the different densities moving through one another, and the technique that's causing all of this. So here comes the most fun part in my eyes. We're going to spin. I know with my boom gels I have to like really whack this around to get the paint to move. This paint is more liquid, so I'm going to be a bit more careful with it, at least to begin with, just to see how it moves. Oh, wow. Yeah, I am liking what that is doing. Isn't it so effective? I love it. I absolutely love it. Right, here we go. I think it's time to start making sure we reach our edges. Just get your fingers in there. That's fine, even if there's a little bit of some other color there, because I'm gonna add a bit of white just there. Get it to move along a little bit better. So just a bit there. Yeah, I'm gonna need a bit there. You will waste paint doing this, but then, you know, what fluid art technique doesn't, or acrylic pouring technique doesn't waste at least a little bit of paint. Okay, there are some that literally waste no paint, but this is not one of them, and it's just so much fun. There we go. Just go a bit faster this time. I love watching that paint fly everywhere. I think it's just so fun. And because even though you're using high quality, or I'm using high quality paints here, the ingredients really aren't that expensive. I'm not using, you know, loads and loads of the Liquitex pouring medium. It's just to make sure the paint behaves as it's meant to do. And yeah, the European Floetrol is just dirt cheap water. I only use distilled water. Reason being that I sometimes store my paints for, can be for like not quite months, but weeks on end, and I don't want it to start going moldy. So I really recommend using distilled water, because, you know, your paints are safe then. Yeah, and it costs next to nothing. You can get them in auto stores. I get mine from like a Finnish equivalent of a dollar store, I guess you could call it. There we go. I think if the edges are covered, I might be done with spinning. And I just love the effects I'm getting here. It is so effective. It's a fast way to paint, yes, for sure, compared to some. Although the one I showed you, for some reason I was there for, I don't know, an hour, I think. Things just didn't quite go as planned, and I had to relayer paints a couple of times. But with this one, the setup is what really will take you a long time, especially if you're like me and you don't have a dedicated studio or art space. I'll let you in on a little secret. I actually pour on my shower room floor. Yeah, seriously, I live in a tiny place and I don't have anywhere else to do this. My teenage son is away a couple of nights a week, and I do this while he's away so I don't disrupt his life too much. And yeah, then overnight is, what is the time? I think it's about 6 p.m. here in Finland right now. And yeah, my day job is done for the day. I've walked the dog, I've eaten, everything is hunky-dory, and by the time I need to have a shower tomorrow morning, I would have let this start drying, moved it to a drying rack which I've fashioned elsewhere in my place, and yeah, then I can just make sure there's not too much wet paint at the bottom of this kiddie pool. Fold away the kiddie pool, and it's as if I led a normal life. Yeah, so there. What did you think? Are you gonna try? I'd love to hear what you think. Okay, now let's have a quick look. I love what's happened here. These sort of I don't even know what you would call them, kind of like ribbons of paint. They look really, really cool. Just gonna give a tiny little spin more, one more spin, because I don't want too much paint on the canvas, so it'll dry nicely. And I can get a big piece of cardboard to lay on top of this from edge to edge, so you know I don't get any dog fluff or anything else on the painting. So there we go. This is essentially it. Just a word of or a piece of advice: if you fashion like a spinner extender like this, my advice from experience, seriously, get some whatchamacallit, not masking tape, it's not strong enough. I discovered that yesterday. I had a canvas go flying, luckily within the pool, so nothing got wrecked. It is duct tape, yeah, duct tape. And just get a length. When the canvas is first placed here, you're sure it's level. I've actually taped it under here to trap the canvas to each one of these extensions. So this, I've tried it, and you can literally whack it around with all your might and it will not go fly. I'm not going to demonstrate that right now. But yeah, when I use the Boom gel paints, which are so much thicker, you know, you really have to give it some oomph to get the paint to move. And that's when it's good to know that the whole thing is definitely secure. Okay, there's a hair. Ugh. Let's get rid of that. And literally just dipping your gloved finger will get rid of it. Sometimes I'll use a toothpick if the hair's in an area where I don't want to disrupt the paint. You know, if there's like a nice pattern or something right there, that's when I'll use it. But this time there's no need. Okay. I think most of my air bubbles are gone. So what I will do, I'm gonna leave this for a minute now. Yeah, just let it rest for a little bit. Keep wiping underneath the sides so that your design doesn't get pulled down. That's quite important in my experience, because you know, you have a nice design, nice pattern going. Last thing you want is for that to be wrecked because it gets pulled down. Also, I'm pretty convinced that this isn't perfectly level anymore. I'm pretty sure it's sloping down this way. Hard to tell because the floor's uneven, so I'll keep an eye on that. If it looks like it's moving that way, then I'm gonna move this to my drying rack sooner rather than later. But one more thing I wanted to show you. Right, just gonna give one more touch. One more touch. And then I want to show you something I thought about yesterday. Some of you might have some dried pigments. I have quite a few TLP, this Little Piggy pigments. I haven't had that much of a chance to mix paints with them. And also I know it's quite a specific process. I have a day job, so I'd love to spend, you know, I really would love to spend hours mixing those paints, but I just don't have the time, and often I'll get sort of a crazy need to create something, so I'll just, you know, use ready mixed paints or quickly mix my own. And using the dried pigments it's extremely time consuming and it's very specific. I wouldn't say fussy, but you know, you've got to be quite exact with it. So what I thought to do is use them dry. Dry pigments, why not use them dry? So here we go. I have some, this one's Macaw, which is like an interference indigo / gold. And this is where you want to use a mask, because it's not a good idea to to breathe in those mica powders. Right, and I'm just gonna grab a little tiny bit with a scoop on my palm. A little bit of this dry pigment powder, like so. I made sure, oh, that's a lot now. I made sure my gloves are, even though they're dirty, they're dry. And then I'm just gonna spread a little bit of this on top. I made sure the dog can't get in the bathroom, even though he's voicing his displeasure. There we go. And this will give it a real nice sheen. The sheen sort of disappears when it dries, but then when you go ahead and either varnish or put a resin on the finished design, this should pop back up quite nicely. Indeed, I think I can do with a bit more. Yeah, somebody's not happy having to stay away from the action. Okay. I found just rubbing my palms together spreads this nicely, and this is seriously wear a mask. Really do that, because stuff ends up flying everywhere. And then what I do straight after this, I go outside to my porch, I dust myself down, I close the bathroom door, I wait for everything to settle in here, and then I go over. There's a fair bit in a chunk there. Oh well, you know, I want to use more. This is looking good. Yeah, I wipe everything down because all the dust will settle here. I wipe everything down with a damp rag to make sure there's none of this powder flying around. Okay, so now I'm gonna let so-called the dust settle. I'm gonna go brush myself down, and I will be back a little bit later and I'll show you a close-up of the painting here. Hi, I'm back. Okay, it's probably about 20 minutes later. I've done a lot of cleanup. This is where I have to mention you, seriously, you cannot be too careful with this dry mica powder. If you're at all worried, please don't use it. I'm prepared. I was wearing a mask. I changed out of my clothes straight away. I shook them outside. I've quite literally poured in the shower room where I can just hose everything down straight after. So yeah, you want to be careful with it. You can use some glitter instead. It doesn't fly that much, and I think you can sprinkle it on top, or just nothing at all. The design itself is really rather stunning as it is. But I just want to bring you close by, see some of the effects. I love that corkscrew thing going on there. That is so cool, the way the paint flies with that flick technique. And those cells are just out of this world. And this powder, I mentioned it is a color shift, I think. And I just want to show you with a flash, because that gives you an indication of what it may well look like once it's both dry and finished with a final varnish. Let me just see if I can get a nice angle for it. It shows much better in the dark spots. There you go. It shifts It says indigo and gold, but I'd say that's a green. Green and gold. And this one actually looks a lot better from a little bit further away. So yeah, I'm really hopeful that the final result will be really quite stunning on the wall. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're interested in seeing how I mix my paints, let me know. I'd be happy to do a video of that. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And most of all, thanks so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye.